Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel today. So today we're just going to be talking about the 2026 United States Senate races and where they currently stand as of July 20th, 2025. So over a year out, but just some early speculation and update, see where everything currently stands right now. And just to explain something, the race classifications I'm going to use for this are: safe refers to the chances of it happening. I'm not going off of margin, I'm going off of likelihood. So the solid color, I'll just give an example. So solid blue or solid red means 95% plus chance of the race going that way. I don't see any party losing that race. Likely refers to this: I think this race will most likely go one way, but I could see a reality in which it doesn't. Lean refers to, I think that a certain political party has an advantage. However, anything could change, and I could very well see the other party winning it. And tilt refers to a race where it is super close and I have to give one party a narrow advantage, but anything could change and anything could happen. So I'll just begin by filling in all the safe races. I won't spend much time talking about them, and I'll fill in the Republican safe races first. So that's Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. For the Democrats, that'll be Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia. Then I'll just go through some of the likely races. So for the Republicans, that would be Ohio, Nebraska, and Iowa. And for the Democrats, I'll put in Minnesota and Michigan. And then I'll just fill in the lean races, which as of right now, and also New Hampshire. And I'm going to characterize Georgia as lean D or no. I won't talk about it in this video since I kind of want to focus on these three states. I do actually have Texas as a likely R state, but for the purposes of this video, I'm actually not going to characterize it just for this video. And I want to begin by talking about the state of North Carolina. Now, Republican incumbent Senator Thom Tillis won this seat back in 2014, was reelected narrowly in 2020. I think I can maybe go show this. He defeated incumbent Senator Kay Hagan back then by about a 1.6% margin. In 2020, he won the race again, but this time by, again, a similar 1.7% margin. And 2026, he is not running for re-election, so it will be an open race. Now, on the Republican side, let's see if I can find it here. There have been no high-profile candidates who have declared just yet. So far, the only candidates who have declared have been a teacher's assistant and Don Brown, who was a candidate for North Carolina's 8th Congressional District back in 2024. But he didn't win, obviously. The only high-profile people to have declared interest or could potentially run are Laura Trump, I should say, the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump. And you have a few congressional candidates, maybe a few members of the House who get in there, chair of the RNC, Michael Whatley. But you haven't really had a high-profile, capable candidate really declare or publicly express interest in running for this seat. And that takes us to the Democrat primary, in which only one candidate has declared, a former rep for the 13th District, Willie Nickel. But the person I want to focus on is Roy Cooper, the former governor of North Carolina. And you may ask yourself, why do I want to focus on him? And the answer is because you have to understand what he was able to accomplish in North Carolina. So in 2020, Donald Trump carried North Carolina by 1.3%. And you can see the map here. In 2016, he carried the state by 3.7%. But if you take a look at the 2016 North Carolina governor's race, keep in mind the exact same ballot that Donald Trump was on, Roy Cooper actually beat an incumbent Republican governor seeking re-election. And it was narrow. It was only by about, I'd say, 11,000 votes, about 0.2%. But he was able to defeat an incumbent governor seeking re-election, and that incumbent governor's party actually won the presidency. That presidential candidate, Donald Trump, the Republican, won that year. And if you take a look at the Senate map that year, back in 2016, the Republican actually won by almost 6 points. So it was quite the feat for him to pull that off. And jump ahead 4 years, keep in mind when Trump won the state by 1.7%, Roy Cooper actually got reelected with the majority of the vote, with 51.5% of the vote, a 4-point victory over the Republican. I believe he was the lieutenant governor. And so recent news has told us that Roy Cooper is actually leaning towards this North Carolina Senate bid. And there are other stories that are coming out by people close to him who have said that he is planning to run for the Senate seat. And although that Democrats have struggled in North Carolina at the federal level in 2022 Senate race, 2016 Senate race, and at the presidential level, Biden failed to win North Carolina in 2020, Harris failed in 2024, Hillary Clinton failed in 2016, Obama failed to carry it for a second time in 2012 after he won it in 2008, meaning the last time a Democrat has won at the federal level in North Carolina was all the way back in 2008. It was this exact Senate seat, coincidentally, when Kay Hagan won it in the same year that Obama won the state. And so as of right now, because of the fact that Cooper is such an electoral juggernaut in the state of North Carolina, despite the fact that Democrats have historically struggled to win here at the federal level, I will classify it as a tilt blue state for now. And that brings us to the next state, which I think is a very interesting case and may leave Democrats very disappointed, which is the state of Maine. Now, the incumbent senator, Susan Collins, who got reelected back in 2020, and she has been an electoral juggernaut in the state of Maine. On the same ballot that Joe Biden won Maine by, he won Maine at large by 9.1%. I think the state as a whole by about that margin, maybe it was a bit less, by 9, close to 10 points. And despite that, Susan Collins, on the same ballot as Joe Biden, won re-election by over 8 points, close to a 9-point re-election margin of victory. And before that, in 2014, she won by over 37 points. 2008, keep in mind when Obama won the state of Maine by almost 20 points, Susan Collins was able to win by about 23% of the vote, which goes to show you her impact and her ability to win elections in the state of Maine. Now, this state could cause the Democrats a lot of grief. And I say that because in 2024, Kamala Harris won Maine by almost 7 points. This should be an easy flip. It's a blue state. The state as a whole has not voted for a Republican since 1988 for George H.W. Bush. So this state should be an auto flip in the same way Montana was last year for the Republicans. The issue is look who's running on the Democrat side. You have no high-profile candidates running on the Democratic side. Their best bet to win, Janet Mills, is classified under potential. She has not even commented on whether she'll run or not. And when you look at who has declared, you have, frankly, nobody's. You would think that this race, on paper, looking like an almost guaranteed Democratic win, and yet no major Democrats are challenging Collins. And why is this? This is probably because of what I discussed earlier. Susan Collins finds a way to win re-election. She knows how to vote when it matters. She voted no on the final version of the One Big Beautiful Bill. She voted no back in 2020 for Justice Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court. She knows how to play that moderate, liberal image to get herself reelected in Maine. And it's for that reason that I think very few Democrats, at least as of July of 2025, have come out and said that they will challenge Susan Collins. And so because of that, I have to classify the race as a lean R race. And as you can tell at the top, the Republicans have already achieved 51 seats in the Senate. And in fact, all we need is 50 because Vice President J.D. Vance would split the tie. So as you can tell, it is a severe uphill climb for the Democrats to retake the Senate in 2026. Now, there's only one race left to talk about, and I said earlier that I had this race classified as likely R, but the reason why I'm talking about it in this video is because of the unique nature of this state's primary. The incumbent senator is John Cornyn, who first got elected back in 2002 for the Senate race. Who first got elected back in 2002, and every single time since 2002, he has been elected pretty comfortably. A 12-point margin in 2002, in 2008, another 12-ish point margin, 2014, what is that, like a 26-ish, 27-point margin, and in 2020, keep in mind when Trump only won Texas in 2020 by 5.6%, he actually managed to win by about 12 points. So he is known, he's been in the Senate for over 20 years. He regularly wins by comfortable margins. And so you would think that in 2026, especially after years of Democrats' failed attempts to turn Texas blue, he should be set. The issue is his primary. He is vulnerable to a primary challenger. In fact, if you look at these recent polls, the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, is leading him in every single poll going back over 3 years. Now, just to provide some context, Cornyn, the incumbent senator, is a conservative Republican, but he's by no means a MAGA, Trump-like Republican. That's more his challenger, Ken Paxton. And look what that does to the general election. If you look at polls, Cornyn defeats the Democrat. There are other polls that I can't show right now. They're from other websites. But on Wikipedia, of the polls that we do have, Cornyn defeats the Democrat. But when it's Paxton, the much more MAGA Republican, he's actually in trouble a bit. And so, if Cornyn holds on in the Senate race and wins his primary, I would have the race classified as likely R. He would be an incumbent Republican senator of over 20 years running for re-election. A broadly popular, in comparison, center-right candidate who would get reelected. But if you do have Ken Paxton, then I could very well move the race to lean R, to maybe even tilt R, and potentially even tilt D. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching today's video. Again, these are my thoughts on the current state of the Senate races in 2026 as of July 20th, 2025. This is over a year away. Anything could change. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching.